Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Four Lads Rangers Monday Night Live. We will go over the old firm from yesterday and Nico Raskin, the transfer window, and everything in between. Joined by my favourite two co-hosts, Kenny and Davie. Good evening, boys. How are you? Kenny, you well, matey?
I'm not bad, mate. Rushing about like a lunatic to get here for 7. So, all good.
Get here for 7 so that we could watch the live Monday night football at 8, which I forgot there wasn't any.
Stevie, I know you far too well, mate. I knew exactly what you were doing. Let's go early.
I forgot it was an international week. So, what can I say? Davie, my other very favourite co-host, mate, how are you? You well?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I did know it was an international break, so I'm really looking forward to tonight because there's absolutely no football to look forward to.
Well, we do have to review yesterday's match. Davie, you and I were on the gantry. You even joined me for a wee bit on the vlog. And the reason, by the way, people were asking, where did Cheryl go? Cheryl was in the front row of the press conference and me and Davie just sat at the back. I didn't really want to say anything. I didn't really want to ask anything. I was a bit fed up, actually. It was a very low quality game of football, Davie. What would you say about yesterday's 90 minutes?
I'll try and extract something positive from it, which probably won't be too easy, but we were more organised. We were more solid looking. We looked as if we had more of a structure than in previous games. It looked very much as if the famous Philip Clement 4-2-3-1 made an appearance yesterday, actually, which I think, when I look at the squad that's being assembled and the players we've got, probably is as good a system as anything for the players we have got at the moment. We were a bit more direct, certainly in the early stages. We tried to get behind their defence instead of playing 58 passes across the halfway line. We did faff about at the back a bit more in the second half, but I think we did play in a slightly different way yesterday. We were more aggressive. We seemed to be in their face a lot more. So our approach was better. And I think it's worth mentioning a positive that we kept a clean sheet, because we haven't done that in the league up until now. And in fact, when you see the Celtic attack, I think the reason they're top of the league is because they've kept 4 clean sheets, because they've got absolutely nothing up front. But I suppose the long and the short of it is, if you want to win titles and you want to challenge for championships, then you need to regularly score goals. And this Rangers team yesterday showed again that we are struggling badly to create anything at all. In fact, I think Pat Bonner could have played in goal for Celtic yesterday at the age of 60, I think, because I don't think they actually had anything to do. There was some decent performances for some individuals, but overall, going forward, there was really nothing to get excited about. Okay, there was the offside goal, there was the penalty claim, but there really wasn't a lot. And the longer the game went, the more unlikely it looked as if we were actually going to score. In fact, I think it had nothing each written over it from about an hour onwards. So I'm never happy with a draw against Celtic. I'm certainly never happy with a draw against Celtic at home. But it was better than what we've seen in the last few weeks. So I'll try and cling to that. And maybe after the transfer window finishes, I'll try and be a bit more optimistic.
And Kenny, how did you see it yesterday, mate?
One of the most boring games of football I think I've ever watched, mate. One real positive I took out of it is Mo Diamandi really doesn't like them, does he? He really doesn't like them. And Davey's right. The two holding midfielders there, that's screaming out for a Nico Raskin, isn't it? And I know we're going to talk about him, but that was screaming out for him. And I have to say, that game was kind of tailor-made for Raskin yesterday, and he's not a fan of them either. So, for me, I thought Askar did a decent enough job off the ball. That was something I noticed. I thought Mikey Moore took a couple of bad kicks, early bells, and instantly decided as a young 18-year-old it was good to see that he was going to give it back. Same with Makoma as well. I thought he did the same, took a couple and then decided he was giving it back. So the two teenagers on the left-hand side, I was quite impressed with that. Although they didn't do any great deal, the commitment and the work rate was good to see. I think we worked harder yesterday than I think I've seen us in any game so far this season, to be honest. I thought they really did try and keep their shape as best they could. And listen, as I say, the commitment and the work rate should be a given. It's not something I'm going to overly praise them for, but at the same time, it was actually good to see. And the structure and the shape's not that much different from what we've actually been playing. It's just bringing the midfield closer together. I thought that just worked. But yeah, it had nothing each. In fact, if you could take points off teams for being so rubbish, we might get points taken off as the pair of us, because it really was a one of those games that get football stopped, mate. There's nothing really. There's no highlights to it. I didn't think it was a penalty. I thought it was at the time, but when I seen it back, I don't think it is. Apart from that, I don't think there's. In fact, I'll tell you, there was who was it? It was the Finlay Curtis one with Maeda right towards the end. That's actually more of a penalty than the bigger shout in the first half. I actually think that might well be a penalty. If you look at the Mo Diamande, I think it was O'Reilly. Was it last season or the season? I think it was last season. But they got a penalty for it. It's very, very similar. But apart from that, I've got nothing else. I've got nothing on that game. I just thought it was one of those that will be instantly forgettable. We'll talk about it. Never again.
Okay, so after a 6-0 hiding during the week, we were never going to turn up and be world class. I don't think that was possible. I think that we set up to be dogged, and I think we set up to win the battles, which we tried to do. And in fairness, I don't think many kind of failed in that. I liked our aggression. I liked the fact that we gave it a wee bit back. And those are the minimum requirements: running hard, working hard, running faster. Up front, very, very little quality. Kassam, I don't think, suited the right-hand side. Mikey Moore was lots of endeavour, lots of effort, but not a lot of quality. And the same with both wings, really. Tello Asgard done a really good job on McGregor, but again, didn't really offer much on the ball. I thought that the same. I thought Diamande worked really hard, but not great on the ball. And then up front, Majowski, I think he showed a lot of what he could do, but he needs service, and that's the real problem. We didn't get enough to him. Defensively, really well. And listen, we've faced about 180 shots per game since Russell Martin started. So that was nice. There was a number of them cut down. And I think they just had the 3, really. Couple of easy saves right at Jack Butland. As for us, we didn't create anywhere near enough. And it's just that little bit at the end, I think we're missing. That little bit of composure, the little bit of right direction in making the passes. Because a lot of the passes got in good positions. Look, for example, the one where we feed that direct ball in and Bayrami finds a pocket of space, he's got 2 options. He goes into the middle again where Dessers is short, or he plays it right-hand side to Finlay Curtis to go and have a one-on-one run, and he just puts it out of the park for a goal kick. And it's decision-makings like them that I think we could be better on, and we need to be better on to try and maximise positions and situations. So, listen, it wasn't great going forward at all. We really need to sort that. We need to become more of a threat. We need to tinker and fix things in there. But I'm hoping that we keep the same kind of shape in the 4-2-3-1. You can change the personnel a wee bit if you want. It might suit Nico Raskin to come back in that 4-2 and be one of the 2s in there. That might suit him perfectly, because I don't think it suits Diamande, Raskin, Barron, or even Joe Rothwell to be a 1 in that situation when the midfielders are like that. So there's a wee bit of work there, I think, to be done. But I think yesterday gives him a wee bit of a base in terms of defensively, and now he needs to fix the other way. He spoke about it afterwards. He's not concerned. His teams have scored lots of goals. So look, that's me trying to be a positive and constructive feedback on it, but it wasn't the best game. We know that. It brings us nicely to the Nico Raskin situation, boys. It's been hot topic for the last few days. I spoke about it as much as I wanted to say on it, and I didn't want to stir the pot. I didn't want to say much. I thought Russell Martin handled the press conference on Friday wrongly, because it set himself up for that question being asked as soon as it was evident Nico Raskin wasn't going to be in the squad. Nico Raskin's a great lad. I think he's a fantastic person. He's a really good footballer for us, but he needs to screw the nut. And whether he likes it or not, it's Russell Martin's way or the highway. Now, it's cost him. Whatever's happened in that dressing room, whatever he's been like, has cost him. I'd like to see both of them sit down. But Nico's got to go with whatever the head coach says. It doesn't matter if we believe it or he believes it or whatever. It's Russell Martin's ball and he has to play with it, Davie. And that's the way it should be. Nobody should ever question the manager. I'd like to think they would both sit down and come together. He's not leaving the club. He never wanted to leave the club. He loves it here. Is that because there's no big move for him? Well, we can decide either way we want, really. But it's a situation for Rangers where if we want to maximise the value of Nico Raskin and one day make him the big sale, just like Eagleman, the £10 million, we want more for Nico Raskin. We need him to be playing in our team. We need him to be vibing. We need them to get on with. And I don't mind there being a wee bit of friction. Like a good player should always question things and wonder, but it's got to be within reason. And I like Nico Raskin, I really do. And I'm speaking of somebody that thinks he's our best player. But it's the manager's way or nothing. So there's got to be a wee bit of come and go there as well, Davie. Whether we like it or not, and whether we agree with Russell Martin or whatever, it's by the by. How do you look back on Nico Raskin's situation the last few days? And Kenny, I'm going to ask you the same, mate, obviously, in just a second.
How I look back on it is probably if the manager wasn't probably the most unpopular manager we've ever had, then I think he might get a little bit more sympathy out of it if there's a player in his dressing room who is being disruptive and who isn't following instruction, which is what I think he's being accused of. But in saying that, there's nothing wrong with a player being opinionated. There's nothing wrong with him being argumentative if he thinks it's the wrong thing for the team. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm reminded very much, obviously, of what Barry Ferguson was like as a player. He wouldn't be slow to give an opinion if he thought things were getting done not in the right way. We've not been inside the dressing room. We don't know exactly what's going on, but there is a line, and I don't personally know whether Raskin has crossed that line or not. But I think he's going to get the benefit of the doubt in anything against Russell Martin because of how unpopular Russell Martin is. But after saying all that, he's our best midfield player. He's our most valuable asset. By all accounts, he wants to play for the club. As far as I'm aware, we've not had any bids that are anywhere near our valuation of him. So it makes absolutely no sense to have him have him sitting in the outside looking in. I mean, him watching that game in the telly yesterday was just kind of ridiculous. So finding a solution is absolutely what's required. I don't know if it's a coincidence or not that the owners were over this weekend and then it seems to have been sorted out the day after that they've been in at the stadium. Ideally, in an ideal world, after they sit down and after they sort it all out, if Nico Raskin wants to show his commitment to the club, I personally think we should be looking at a year's extension for him. So he still get 2 years next summer and he will still have the same kind of value next summer as he does now. It's a World Cup year for him. He wants to be playing regularly. He wants to be a player that's making the headlines for the right reasons because he wants to be in that Belgian World Cup squad. We want to win trophies. We want to win trophies and we've got a better chance of doing it with him in the team. He goes to World Cup next year with maybe even a release clause there that means that we're not trying to screw too much money out, but maybe not, I don't know. But whatever, I genuinely think that Rangers are better with Raskin in the team, and I think Raskin's better to stay for another year anyway. So let's get it sorted out. Kenny,
what's your thoughts on Nico Raskin?
I'm glad that he's staying, that's for sure. Listen, from club, manager and player, this has not been handled well at all. You don't do this so publicly. It's in a much smaller scale, but you guys will remember this. Do you remember the Dutch team 20, 30 years ago, they used to do this every major tournament, and 4 or 5 of them get papped out and sent home, and it was all because they were incredibly opinionated, and maybe it's just that part of the world, I don't know, it might be something to do with that they just feel that they can express themselves in a manner that at the end of the day your boss doesn't particularly like very much. But I just feel that it's one of these things. I think the higher up the scale you go, and this is where I think Russell Martin has perhaps handled it not as well as he could have. The higher up the football scale you go, the more opinionated the player's going to be, because you get to a club like Rangers and you have to win. And Nico Raskin is one of those boys. What is he, 24, something like that, 24, 25 now, maybe, I don't know. But he's a young man that when we don't win a game, Stevie, his life will be affected. So he's obviously passionate about his own game. He's passionate about the club. And if he is on that pitch and he knows it's not working, if he's a guy that's sitting there watching Motherwell midfielders run past him, like what happened in the Motherwell game, time and time again, he is going to walk in and say, look, I can go and play with Belgium at the very highest level for one of the best teams in the world, and this doesn't happen to me. Why is it happening to me now? You need to explain what's going on to me. And if he's not getting the message, that's where the kind of issues come, because he is our best player, Stevie. I don't think there's any doubt in that. He is our most talented player. If you can go and play for one of the most elite international football teams on earth and not look out of place in any way, shape or form, keeping guys like the boy across the city out of that squad completely and stuff like that, you have to appreciate as a club and as a manager, you've got a talent on your hands. The prime example is, if you look at it, Michael Beale, I think it was here when we signed him, didn't play him every week. Clement didn't play him a lot at first. Barry had him in and out of the team. Barry managed to coax the very best out of him. Now, Barry was an opinionated lad, as Davie said. He wasn't going to sit there and be a wee shy mouse in the dressing room. So Barry's managed to manage the kid and get the best out of him. And there's that story that was flipping about, if you remember, where I think he ended up scoring and he ran over and Barry, see, I effing told you, didn't I? And the two of them were laughing on the touchline. And he said, you did, you know. So there is a way of coaxing the very best out of a boy like that. And he might not agree with the way Russell Martin is playing or wants to play. None of us are. There's not a single Rangers fan is looking at this and saying this is what we want to see at the moment. But he has and I hate saying this, but he's no different from any of the rest of us, Stevie. He's got to trust the process. He's got to actually allow the manager the time himself to get the message across, implement what he's trying to do, and whether it works or not, we're all unconvinced. There's nobody in the Rangers support's convinced yet, but that doesn't allow Nico the disruptive attitude that appears to be going on. That's all I'd say. But Rangers need to manage the boy better. That's what I'm taking out of this, and the manager needs to manage him and get the best out of him better, because there's no doubt in my mind that Rangers with Nico Raskin in it, he's the best midfielder in Scotland at this minute in time. I actually do believe that. I actually think he is. And we're crazy to not play this kid. And I'm actually really annoyed about that yesterday, because I genuinely do believe if Raskin was playing, I think we'd have won the game.
Couple of things just to add to me is that, and there was a comment before that I actually agree with it. These sort of things should never leave the dressing room. So it could easily have been Nico Raskin's unavailable on Sundays, unwell or whatever, and they two sort it out in the international break when he gets back. Doesn't need to be played out the way it is. I get that there's a need for Russell Martin to be open and honest, like he probably was with Hamza Egaman, but it's too many things in the public for me, no matter how it's come out. Second of all, Nico Raskin loves his club. He wants to be here, but now it's time for him to knuckle down and prove that. words are cheap, I suppose, and he needs to knuckle down and do that, because we've given him an opportunity here as well. And I'm not siding with anyone here. It's my desire that Nico Raskin goes and plays the kind of football we want him to do. But regardless of Russell Martin, he needs to do what he's told to do. And Russell Martin needs to sit down and allow Nico to have a say in what he's doing, but within the confines of it. Russell Martin cannot be the kind of person that gets upset if he's challenged on what he's doing. And like Davie said, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but the best thing for Rangers is that the two of them get together, bang their heads together and sort it out. That's where it is. That's where it is. I think there's no other way of looking at it. The Old Firm came and went. It's done and dusted. For Rangers, Davie, you've got the stats there. You had them on Saturday. It's our worst start since 1978, I think you told me. 1 draw, 2 defeats, something like that. 4 draws. We're heading for Kenny's prediction of 30 points this season quite nicely. It needs to be better. Look, it needs to be better attacking wise. We always knew the task that was bestowed upon Russell Martin. He's not made it easy for himself. There is a hell of a lot of negativity around him. You heard it even at the end. He's starting to bite back a wee bit in press conferences and things like that. He's very spiky the last couple. He needs to fix it quickly. We've got 2 weeks on the training pitch. A lot of players are away, but you would like to think that things would come on so that by the time we played Hearts, followed by Hibs and then Livy, we can see an instant improvement, or at least building towards something.
Yeah, I'll just throw the stat in just seeing you mentioned it. It's the worst league start for a new manager since 1978, since John Greig took over from Jock Wallace. It's the worst start in the league since 1983, which was 1 draw and 3 defeats in the first 4 games, and that was John Greig as well. Wasn't the most successful time under the greatest Ranger. My view is that we were all dreading yesterday. We were all dreading yesterday in case it turned out the way that we were fearing, because we thought Ibrox would have turned absolutely poisonous. And it's good that it didn't. There was some booing at the end. Some of it was definitely aimed towards the manager. I think probably some of it was just aimed towards how garbage the game was, to be honest. But I still think we are 1 bad defeat away from Ibrox being how we feared it would be. And I think the only way that Russell Martin will avoid that toxic occasion is if we can go on a winning run of quite a few games and prepare ourselves up the league and actually look as if we're scoring goals, winning games, improving all the time. And I suppose that what I would ask you would be, how likely is it, do you think, that we will go on a run of 6, 7, 8, 9 successive wins? Something that league champions all need to do if they're going to win the title. Because we could win our next 3 games, but then if we lose the next one 3-0, it's going to be the poison that we were expecting. It's going to take longer. It's going to be more than that we need. We're going to need a good run of results, I think, before people are going to be persuaded. And the only way that's going to happen is if he doesn't try this wide open, crazy defending system that we watched for the first 10 games that he was in charge. So he talked just at the press conference about he felt that it was an occasion he had to tweak things and change things and look for a more solid structure. But he did say that he would expect more bravery in the future. There's that bravery word that he used again. We play Hearts in a fortnight. Hearts have got the same number of points as Celtic. We've got Hearts are 6 points in front of us. I actually saw their game on Saturday. They've scored an important last-minute goal. I think 2 of their 4 league games, and they've come back for 3 down in another one. They've obviously got a bit of character about their team. We've got to win that game. We've got to win it. And to do that, I think we need to approach it in the same manner we approached yesterday in terms of intent and aggression and organisation, but create a lot more up front. And then it needs to start as a win and run, because it's the only thing I think that's going to turn opinion. And he's got a lot of opinion to try and turn.
Kenny, it needs them to batter somebody. It needs him to have a convincing performance and then to be able to take that on. I'm not feeling great about what I'm watching. I don't think that's unfair, but I'm trying to stay positive somewhat in hope, and that's all it is, of hope that Russell Martin can start getting them to play how he envisaged it. Russell Martin's not going anywhere as a coach. It's well documented now that Andrew Kavanagh met with the squad and all the staff on Saturday and said that we are not deviating from this plan. Russell Martin is going nowhere. We are 90 days into it. Russell Martin alluded to it in his own press conference. He has told them that there will be no knee-jerk reactions. There will be no response from the fans. And bearing in mind, the RSA and the FAB have asked for him to be removed. It will be ignored. We're about to spend several £1 million out on the transfer window, which is done but is about to be announced. We have until 11 o'clock to do that, so there's plenty of time. He's going nowhere, Kenny, but he needs, if people are going to buy into this, he certainly needs an uplift.
There was a bit more pragmatism about his team's performance yesterday than we've seen. But that's a kind of double-edged sword there. I watched, as we had to come on here after it, Stevie, on Wednesday night, and he goes a goal down after 5 minutes, loses a guy after 8 minutes, and still persists with this high line and one number 6. And, trying to play this attacking football when you're 4-1 down and down to 10 men, on aggregate. The game's over. They're clearly miles better than us. And this is what I don't understand. Why didn't he just turn around and shut the door, get 10 men behind the ball and take the chasing that you're going to take? Because it was clear as day that's what was going to happen. To turn up in a game that we all know how poor Celtic are playing at the minute. Now, as Davie says, they're not losing goals, and that's why they're winning games, because they've got enough about them domestically to win most of the games. But that was a winnable game, a very winnable game yesterday, and I actually think he set us up to make sure we didn't lose. That was the kind of way I felt. Is it fair to say that you have to give them time? Yes, but at the same time, the club, whether Andrew Kavanagh says this or not, is kind of irrelevant. I don't want to sit there and be disrespectful, but it's kind of irrelevant what an owner that's sitting in America is saying, because at the end of the day, whether he likes it or not, the fans kind of do determine this stuff. And it's okay him saying we're not going to deviate from this. But what happens if 6 weeks down the line he's not won a game? Are you just going to persist and we're sitting there in the bottom 3? Is that what he expects the Rangers fans to sit and accept? Because there'll not be many folk in Ibrox if that's the case. And this is where I kind of look at it, and I just think he's got 2 weeks. He's been harking on, which is fair. I understand when I say harking on, I'm not, again, trying to be disparaging. He's been saying that things will look better when this window shuts. Well, it's shutting tonight. So he's got effectively 2 weeks on the training ground with what is going to be, what appears to be, the way he's saying, is a more settled kind of outlook for him. Well, you've got 2 weeks. You've spent a lot of money on your squad, and it's not unreasonable to expect that we turn up in 2 weeks, play good football, and take Hearts to the cleaners. Because you've signed lots and lots of good players, according to him. Well, go and prove it. That's all. That's the only way I can see this, Stevie. He's got 2 weeks to sort this out and get us to play the kind of football that he said that we were going to see. So do it. He's got 2 weeks in the training ground now. Let's see what you've got against Hearts.
I just want us to win one game so that I can use the Russell Martin masterclass meme that I've been kept for now what feels like about 3 months. Davie 1642 with the donation. Thank you, Davie. It does my head in that we've sunk so low that as a club we now see every opponent as a potential banana skin. Bland draws now seem acceptable. Not acceptable in the slightest, mate. I don't think anyone feels like that, but I understand the sentiment behind it. Gentlemen, let's move on to something more cheery. Couple of exits today, it looks like, not being confirmed as far as I'm aware at this moment. I'm trying to keep my eye on any updates that we're getting. But Oscar Cortez left. He went to Sporting Gijon on loan today. He was, I wouldn't say I broke that news. That's probably not right. But I did say last week on the Tuesday show with Scott that there was interest from Portugal for Oscar Cortez. It turns out he's went just a wee bit the other way to go to Spain with Sporting Gijon. So he goes on loan. Best move for him, I think, is absolutely the right thing to do. He needs game time. We need to try and spark something of that. That was confirmed today, I think 1 o'clock, if I remember correctly. So he is gone. Cyril Dessers is another who's leaving. We don't have finalisation of that. We don't have confirmation. That's an interesting one. It was always going to be one that went right to the very end of the window, which is what we all said all those many weeks and months ago that we started talking about him in Athens. Panathinaikos have won that race, which was interesting, boys. You both know I got contacted by a journalist in Greece on Saturday afternoon, very randomly, to say that, Cyril Dessers was on his way to Panathinaikos, would play against Celtic, and wanted my opinion on him. So I gave him a bit of an opinion report on him, which the boys read, and it was fairly fair, But the truth is, Kenny, I'll start with you with this one. But Cyril Dessers scored 50 odd goals, and then he leaves, and probably there's not a lot that are saying that we'll really miss him. But the truth is somewhere in between, that we'll miss his contribution and his goals. He scored a lot of crackers for Rangers, Betis, Old Trafford, scored against Celtic. He probably got much more stick than he deserved, but he missed a hell of a lot of chances and was inconsistent. But he'll probably be remembered more favourably, possibly, than he is at this very moment. Is that fair?
It is fair, actually, yes. He's the most enigmatic attacking player since Ted McMahon. I think that's what I would say. Just one of those guys you just don't know what's going to happen. Fair play to the big lad. Stood there, took a barrage of absolute garbage off us at times, and a lot of it unfair. Getting booed on and things like that. It's just unacceptable. We really need to learn that that's not endearing yourself to people at all. And it's okay. I understand people pay their money and they're entitled to do what they want. But I just find it really cringy, when you're booing players on and off the park like that. It's just, even yesterday, I found that the booing at the end of the game a wee bit uncomfortable. And I do get it, but I just find it a wee bit. I wish we wouldn't do that. But on Big Cyril, he scored some absolutely incredible goals, genuinely incredible goals. I mean, the one in Betis, the one down at Old Trafford, the one in Athens against Olympiacos. Some of these goals are absolutely phenomenal. Even the goal he scored last season against Celtic towards the end of the season. Lovely wee finish, beats the boy, finishes it. But for every goal he scored, he missed about 5 chances, so we know that. But look, it's one of those things that if we're getting the money that is being reported as €5 million, that's a cracking deal for us. He's 31, 32, I think, and getting that kind of money for a player of that kind of age. And he's obviously keen on the move. So go and enjoy it. Cyril, you go with my very, very best wishes. I think he's a big gentleman, and really, for a guy that turned up as a Rangers player who was always going to be the second or third choice striker, to have had to play the amount of games he did because of the injuries to other players and stuff like that over the years, I've got nothing but admiration for him for the way he went about his business. A very, very good professional. So good luck to him.
I did think it was quite funny, Davie, that he said he looked at Panathinaikos in the games like against us, and they created a lot of opportunities. Hi, mate. That's because it was against us. But I did find that worth a chuckle. Look, the big guy, we've been in press conferences with him, the nicest big guy. Really honest, really always fronted up, never ever afraid to give you a minute of his time and answer really, really well and really honestly. I wish him all the best. I wasn't his biggest fan, I'm not going to lie, not his biggest fan in the slightest. I always chuckle when I think about Danes Park and all those chances he missed, probably to take the most hardest one and win us a match. Good luck to him, Davie. And I think I did laugh at the comments about Panathinaikos against us and the chances created.
Yeah, I think all I can do is echo what you're saying about his character and his attitude. They're absolutely spot on. They're brilliant. And he had a sense of humour as well in the press conferences. Even he knew fine well if he came in and he'd missed a couple of sitters, he was going to get asked about them, and he always answered them really well. And I actually think that two things. One is Russell Martin actually told us last week that Dessers was going to go, and but he still put him on the bench against Celtic, our biggest domestic game, and he still brought him on. Compare and contrast to the guy we sold last week, who we all wanted to be the Rangers number 9 this season, and he wouldn't come on in a game we needed him. So I think there's a night and day professionalism thing there, which we should all appreciate. The thing about scoring home and away against Celtic, scoring the European games, scoring 50 goals, absolutely, that's definitely memories he's given us. The question you asked, how will be remembered, I actually think it greatly depends on who becomes our number 9 this season and how many goals they score and how well they play. Because if we replace him with someone who doesn't score a lot of goals, then I think all you'll hear about is I wish we still had Dessers. Because that's what's happened in the past. Whenever players have left, it depends who it is that takes their place. He's over 30. He wasn't going to be worth any more than he was this summer and future summers. And as you say, for his 50 goals, there was probably about 250 chances that he could have scored in amongst them. If we want to be a championship winning team, we need somebody who will consistently score week on week, not go through these little bursts and then miss sitters for 3 or 4 after it. But he goes with absolutely everyone's best wishes, I would think. And it wouldn't surprise me if he's one of these ones that comes back and does the half-time draw sometimes and gets a bit of a cheer for the crowd.
Yeah, he certainly will. Look, as I said, he scored some beauties and some real crackers, as somebody commented, that goal up at Tannadice. That was what he was about. He could literally be Van Basten 1 minute and Philip Sebo the very next second. He certainly gave us a good couple of years in terms of entertainment, that's for sure. Right, moving on to ingoings, that's outgoings. Clinton and Ciala still negotiating, I think, with Dynamo Kiev, potentially over a loan move has been reported also, so we wait to see where that is. It'd be a good loan move for him, actually. A straight loan, apparently no clauses in that, which might give us the actual opportunity if he turns back and, actually has a good year away. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens if that one goes on. Coming in the building, we are waiting on confirmation. It's actually been confirmed by Sky and BBC and everything that Rangers have completed the deals for Yusuf Chermiti, which is a £10 million deal. Just ridiculous. Ridiculous in many ways, and I'll get to it in a wee minute. And Derek Cornelius on a loan deal arriving from Marseille, the left-sided centre-back, which everybody wanted, which seems to be on paper a positive thing. I called him Davie Cornelius earlier, which is going to stick with me, and that's going to be a right pain because once it enters this big dome, it probably doesn't change. But here's the one that everybody's talking about. Yusuf Chermiti. It's an £8 million fee, rising with add-ons and potential clauses. He is a player of undoubted talent, but has went to Everton for the last couple of years, has not scored in 24 games, has been permanently injured. It just seems like such a Rangers thing to do. And then there's the other side of it that makes me think, well, hold on a minute here. We couldn't afford 800 grand a couple of years ago, and we were struggling last summer to sign players, and it's a balls out move from Rangers, showing their hand a wee bit. It'll take spending well up between kind of 30 and 40 million pounds, which is what we'd hoped for. How they've spent it, we'll only find out in time. But Davey, there's fair to say there's a hell of a lot of scepticism around this one. We've just made a massive signing, our biggest fee since, our second biggest fee to Tor Andrew Flo, if I remember rightly. And there's people out there going, what the fuck are we doing? Why are we spending it all on this guy? And I think it's natural to be inquisitive about this one and wonder why we're doing it. Kevin Thelwell signed him for Everton. Dan Purdy will know him very well. They're signing potential, I think. It's interesting. It's an interesting move. But as I said, there's a fair bit of questions being asked by the support on this one. And then the other side of it is, Christ, we've just bought a guy for £8 million plus.
Yeah, it seems a heck of an amount of money. You mentioned Flo. I've got a horrible feeling that this guy's going to have the price tag in the headline. I see every time he gets talked about in the press. Tory Andrew Flo always used to be the £12 million man in every headline. I've got a feeling that this guy is going to be the £8 million man every time he gets talked about. The transfer fee was a weight round Flo's neck. He actually scored quite a few goals, but he was never seen as value for the money that we spent on him. And I feel as if this new player is going to have to hit the ground running. He's going to have to impress quite quickly, or else the support are just going to keep going on about this transfer fee. I've never seen him. I've honestly got no clue what kind of player he is and how good he is. I genuinely don't know. I don't want to go by the stats. I don't usually go by stats anyway, but I do think probably this number of appearances and number of goals things are a little bit misleading, because I think an awful lot of them are late substitute appearances and stuff like that. I don't know how many full games and he's played at whatever level. His injury record worries me, it's got to be said. But if he genuinely was a £15 million player when he was 18, then he must have had something. Personally, I think that if we had £8 million to £10 million to spend on a statement signing up front, it would have been my view that I would have went to a different market from the English Premiership, where 8 million doesn't really get you much of a striker. I would have went somewhere else for probably more of a finished article, somebody that I think would have been more proven, less risky. But obviously this is a guy the recruitment team know. It's a guy that they've had faith in before, and they think he's the man that can take us to a level that we haven't been to yet. Time will tell, but I would definitely say that I really hope the boy hits the ground running early, because I think the pressure will really go on him if he doesn't.
Right, so here's a couple of things. When you look on the Everton message boards, Kenny, they are quite disappointed at this, and they at least want a buyback and potential sell-ons, because they think there's a player in there. Sporting Lisbon fans loved him. He was tipped by Figo, if I remember rightly, reading this at the weekend, that he was one of the best and most up-and-coming. He's going to be this, he's going to be that. The good news is that the Rangers support is really patient, and we'll give him lots of time to settle in, and he won't be judged in the first 10 minutes. But it's look, see, do you know what? I'm trying to be positive, right? It's such a ballsy move to spend that kind of money as a real statement of intent. I would have spent it elsewhere, absolutely. Would have went and built from the back a wee bit forward after getting Majowski, maybe. But look, I'm not in charge. I don't make these decisions. A lot of people are quite funny saying this is Kevin Thelwell helping out Everton and stuff like that. Believe you me, if Kevin Thelwell comes up here and this boy tanks, he'll probably get booted, considering that what Cortez done for the last incumbent of that position. So Niels Coppin undoubtedly got moved on because of Oscar Cortez's deal, in my opinion. If this one turns out to be a dud, Kevin Thelwell will be gone as well. And I really don't see, big teams down south thinking, well, what a job he done at Rangers. So this is a hell of a move for Kevin Thelwell to greenlight and things as well. So the excitement of that, coupled with the fact that we're buying a guy that hasn't scored and is also injury prone, which is so typical of us, really, for 8 million, it somehow doesn't seem real. Kenny, give me your thoughts on this use of Chermiti deal.
It's good coming on after you two have had your rambling chat, because I've got nothing much to add to this. You've actually stolen my entire thunder. The only thing I would add to this, right, is they paid 9 million for Ida, a championship player, last season. they're getting punting, punting them, or trying to punt in this window. It is the kind of going rate down there for a half decent striker. I was going to say exactly what you said. I know the Sporting Lisbon fans loved him. I've had a wee quick look myself about what the Everton fans are saying about him, and they quite like him. And that surprised me because I'm a wee bit like David. I had heard of him, I have to say. I have seen him maybe once or twice, maybe match of the day or something like that. It's been flashes of having seen him. But what I was going to say more than anything else is that if you're Greta Steinson and Parag Marathi and Andrew Kavanagh and you outlay this and this boy bombs, I don't think they'll see this. They'll see next season because they'll look at it and go, well, what on earth were you doing? Going back to your previous club to sign a player that you've already signed, the two of you, for this to happen. And you'll carry the can for it, I would imagine. So in that sense, or in that respect, I actually think there must be a very decent player in here. His goal scoring record is non-existent. His injury record is pretty poor. He'll fit right in. I don't know what to say about this, apart from the fact that, again, and I'm going to kind of reiterate what Davie said, if you're spending £8 million, even on a kid that age, I would have been slightly more tempted to go and spend it elsewhere where you'll get better value for your buck. But yeah, welcome to the boy. I hope he absolutely smashes it. And that would be my one ask of the Rangers supporters. Don't read too much into the transfer fee. It's a lot for us, but it's buying a decent, a top player's big toe these days. That's all it's buying. Honestly, you don't get. I mean, there's Isak going for 125 million. Put it into perspective. It's 125 million pounds for a good player these days. So, or a top player these days. So, 8 million sounds a lot to us, but in the grand scheme of things, it really isn't.
Bluebells really likes Bowie of Hibs, and he's been talking about him only for this reply to come up, which fairly chuckled me. Bowie is shite, especially his Ziggy Stardust days. You need to be a certain vintage to get that, folks. But,
and I'm disgusted with that. Bowie's one of my heroes. Don't you ever say that again, pal.
Is there a YouTube video of his goals? Yeah, it's 3 seconds long. Look, I'm quite excited. They're going to have to be judged on this one. Only I think it's funny that only Rangers could spend this much on a guy, on a striker, and we're all going, what the fuck? Like, it's only Rangers who could genuinely do this. We just need to trust it. You've got no other. I'm going to give the big guy a really good chance. See how he goes. You'll get a solid 20 minutes from me instead of my usual 10 before I judge him. And I just hope he hits the ground running for him. And like Davie says, I hope it doesn't become a kind of weight around his neck, this fee and stuff like that. I'm going to be interested to know, Davie. Like, we spent a hell of a lot of money on this boy. He's not coming to sit on the bench. Is he going to partner Majowski? Are we going to change again? It's an interesting one. God, imagine seeing two up front in the league. That would be like, God, nobody's done that for Rangers in so long. But he's got a good presence about him. Majowski's got a good presence about him. One thing I did like was Majowski's kind of physicality and trying to front up yesterday. Could they partner together? I would think for that kind of outlay, it's all, the best part of 11, 12 million on both of them. Surely they have to play, which means a change.
Well, you could argue that we spent the best part of 11 million in Dessers and Danilo and we never saw them playing together. Good old 4-4-2, Mike Bassett is Russell Martin's replacement. You never know. How likely is it to see two up front? There's very few managers do it now. And it would require, especially seeing he's bought all these wingers as well, it'd be difficult to imagine that we'd be playing with four forwards, two wingers and two two centre forwards, but maybe in certain games you might see two up front. But I can't see it in the bigger games. And going by the price tag that we've just paid, or we are just about to pay out, this guy must be the top of the pecking order to start with, and it's up to him whether he stays there. Nobody's going to play every week, and I think Majowski will appear in most Premier League games, whether it's from the start or whether he'll come on. I think he'll appear in most of them. I don't know whether it's going to leave your favourite Brazilian £6 million striker all this. He's most certainly now third in the pecking order. I just hope you can recover from the devastation that must be causing to you.
Well, maybe if he got played in a 2, they might actually give him some chances. That might be interesting. Kenny, could Rangers go 2 up front? Could we show? Imagine he just went pure Mike Bassett and went 4-4-2.
Sorcery, wizardry, all that kind of stuff. It's not going to happen, by the way. It's just not going to happen. He's not going to play with 2. He might in the odd game, but I'm saying that I've got no idea what he's doing from week to week. He could do different things from week to week. For all I know, he could be deciding that he's going to play 2 wingers, 2 number 9s, and a number 10 behind them, and 2 number 8s. So I have no idea what he does. Sometimes it's confusing me. What I would say about this is, right, there must be a really good player in there for us to put that outlay out. Okay. I was very, very impressed with the way Majowski led the line yesterday. Didn't get a lot of the ball or anything like that, but he worked his backside off yesterday. And what I noticed we were doing, even a couple of times, you'd have seen it as well, guys, we were playing diagonals over the top and letting him try to run onto them and things like that we haven't really seen from Russell Martin so far, where it was quite a deliberate ploy to try and get in behind, was to play a longer diagonal ball, which seems to be a thing of the past, a long diagonal these days, which is a very, very effective pass. And I just feel that we asked, listen, we all were asked at the end of last season, Stevie, everybody on here was asked, who would you want to see in and out of this squad? And I can remember saying that every single person in the squad was up for sale. I felt personally we had work to do in every department. More probably work on the front 3 than anywhere else. And we have done that. So whether Russell Martin's the right guy to get the best out of these guys remains to be seen. But when you look at the wide players, you look at the fact that Dessers and Egerman have gone. I don't believe for a minute that Egerman was going to be a first choice striker this year anyway. I don't think he's ready. I think he comes far too deep to be a number 9. So, him going, unfortunate circumstances, has probably allowed us to do a whole lot of wheeling and dealing with these 2 guys. Majowski really excites me because he's a goal scorer. He will score goals for us. Chermiti, he's 6'4". He's a big lad. He might be a target man for all I know. I've got no idea. I see, to be fair, I'm actually quite. What we got 3 hours left to this window shut, Stevie, and I've got to say, whether we've got the results or not, the turnover in this squad has been phenomenal. Actually, I've got to say that whether it's like for like or we've actually improved the squad remains to be seen. But I've got a funny feeling, player for player wise, this is a much better squad. But no, we're not playing 4-4-2. We can't. It would be too much like a Rangers thing to do. And we always play well in a 4-4-2. And I really want us to play 4-4-2. I always have, but we'll not do it.
Well, as Davie says, we've signed plenty of wingers. We're still in for another one. So get the wingers crossing the ball. It might be an alien concept because they have to pass it about. But how about they went to the byline and stood it up for the 2 big guys? Majowski's not a small guy either. So let's see how this works out. Davie, Derek Cornelius looks to be close he is a left-sided centre-back, somebody who Kai really, really rates, and with the radar up and things, and Kai will be on Wednesday, on the Wednesday pod, talking about that. We wanted a left-sided defender. We've got one. Even yesterday, you seen it. And I thought, by the way, we defended quite well. I actually thought we defended quite well. But see, when John Suter fires the ball at Giga like at 120 miles an hour in the first 10 minutes, I was kind of a bit concerned. And every time they kind of got it and overplayed slightly, I was concerned. But the actual use of the ball was pretty much decent. Butland faffed about a couple of times and nearly caught us. But defensively, I thought we were better yesterday. Definitely aggressive. Giga was very aggressive, which I liked. He was straight on. Tab was good on Maeda when he went over his side and stuff. And I thought defensively we were fine. So this boy comes in. He's going to play. He's going to start on the left side of centre defence. So there is that possibility that we can change again. Would they go to 3? Could it be 3-5-2? We're just going to need to wait and see. There's certainly options now, but we all wanted a left-sided centre-back. Sky, BBC are reporting that. Rangers haven't confirmed it yet. Where do we see, or what do you think? What do you make of this deal?
Well, it's the one we've been, as you say, been talking about. It seems since before the season started that we needed a left-sided centre-back. Going by what Kai's been telling us about his stats and his attributes, it sounds as if he's got decent experience, he's a good passer of the ball, he's good with the ball at his feet. I'm not 100% sure how good a siege defender he is for certain situations, and I don't know if he's a leader type, but he's a full international with loads of caps. He's played at a good level in Europe and a couple of different countries. On paper, it sounds like a pretty solid sign. It sounds like exactly the kind of sensible thing that we probably should have done a while ago. Competing for the right centre-back position. That's what it sounds like, because neither of the two of them are left-sided. You would think you would want balance in the team. So Cornelius, you would think, would become the first choice left-sided centre-back. And Kai also said, he sent us some stats saying that he plays, I think it was something like 7 progressive passes per 90 minutes, I think it said on it. I'm reading that to be your Goldson type diagonals to the winger and to the fullback. That's what I'm reading that as, which would be good, because I do think we need to get the wingers into the game quicker, and I think that diagonal ball is something that we should make more use of. So I'm thinking this is a solid looking signing. The caveat, as always, same with that last one, is I've never seen him, so I'm entirely going by online stats. I'm not going by anything else. But it sounds as if it's the kind of signing we've been waiting on.
Kenny, your thoughts on this one? I'm not saying anything to give you a chance.
No, thanks, mate. I appreciate that. No, I don't know anything about the kid, right? What I have done is did a little bit of digging and a look at him, and he's moved about a lot, I've noticed. He's been at a fair few clubs already, and he's 27, so doesn't seem to settle anywhere for any great length of time. Big, strong lad by all accounts, can pass a ball, needs to be a wee bit more aggressive, I believe, but does win a lot in the air, stuff like that. So this for me is more about the balance of the team. If you look at the young boy McComa coming in, the left-hand side's already got a better balance to it, I think, than it's had when Aarons was playing there, or even when Yefty was cutting inside and stuff like that. The boy McComa's staying on the left-hand side, and I do feel that with a left-sided centre-half, it's going to give us a proper balance to the back four for the first time this season. So that might help. Other than that, I am going to start fishing, because I genuinely don't know anything about him. So I'll do a little bit of digging. I believe what the story is here is, as you say, Sky are saying that he signed. So that's what I would be taking out of it at this moment in time, Stevie, is that will give us a proper balance to the left-hand side. And if you look at the signing policy, there has been a structure to it. Now, it might have taken a lot longer than perhaps we wanted to see, But if you look at the left-sided players now, you look at the way the right-hand side's been built, that he's trying to tweak at the midfield and it's not worked yet, but you will give it time. But the balance seems much, much better than it has done over the last couple of seasons, because if you actually look at our signing policy over the last couple of seasons, we have all sat here and went, what are we doing? We don't see anything that's happening here that looks cohesive at all. So that's what I would say. Big, strong boy, played at a high level, so hopefully he can fit right in.
Yeah, let's just look at him. You're probably wondering why we're well over an hour. Well, I need to extend it slightly, so we need to just hang about, guys, if that's all right. Derek Cornelius, Marseille. Let's look at Kai sent me some stats kindly to look at. 21 games, 93% pass accuracy, 50% long ball accuracy, 7.13 passes to the final third per 90, 7.19 progressive passes per 90, 7.42 successful defensive actions per 90, and just over 4% or 4.14 interceptions per 90, 62 defensive duels won, 62%, and 55% aerial duels won. He's going to have to be a lot better in the air, probably, which we would say. But I think his stats, and I don't think France are kind of like a long ball country as such, where it is in Scotland. Apparently, his stats were much better for Malmo in that as well. So Kai will be on Wednesday. We can talk about it a wee bit more. Davie can cover left back as well. I think that's one of the positions he can cover. Cool Bean, a nice donation, asking, is there any news on Raksaki or a left back? A left back you won't get. Derek Cornelius will most likely fill in. Max Aarons can play at left back. Not my choice. He just can't. Don't shout at me. He can play over there. So I don't think we're going to get another left back. He might switch it up. I'm not sure what he's going to do. So we'll just need to wait and see on that one. On Raksaki, as far as I'm aware, they're in for Raksaki of Crystal Palace. But with this is where it becomes interesting, because the English market closed at 7:00. So do we have a greater chance of getting Raksaki now before 11? That might be interesting, because we wanted him. We bid for him. I think the bid was £8 million earlier in the window, and they said no. Could we get a loan to buy? Can we loan any more players? God knows how many we've got now. I think we're allowed 6. How many does that make it? Is that 5 now that Cornelius is here? Davie, if it is Chermiti and Cornelius to be the window closed, are you disappointed we've not strengthened elsewhere? Do you think left back's an issue? It's a lot to ask young Meg Homa, I think, although he fared fairly well yesterday. I think he could be okay for us, but he's a young lad. Is there anything else you would have liked to have seen us done? We have signed a hell of a lot of players, and we probably all of us say that you could maybe have had 1 or 2 more.
I'm actually sitting trying to figure out how many players we've signed. Will that make it 13? I think they said Majowski was the 11th.
Majowski was 11, wasn't he? So
yes, that'll be 13. So that's a significant outlay. I think, like most people, my priority probably was left centre back and left back getting into today. So I'm a little bit disappointed we haven't got more cover for Meg Homa. I think he's actually quite impressed me for a 19-year-old with not a great deal of first team experience. I think in some big games he's really stepped up. But he is 19 and he is inexperienced, and he'll probably be inconsistent as the season goes on, unless this boy Cornelius is the next Sasa Papac who can play centre back and then step to the left and be a nice solid left back as well. Then that would be great. But I do think we're a bit exposed at left back if Meg Homa's not there. Aarons will never be a left back in a month of Sundays. I don't want to write him off completely, but certainly the first 8 or 9 games in a Rangers shirt have not filled me or anyone else, I don't think, with any confidence that he's a first choice fullback in either side, never mind in a side that he's uncomfortable on. So left back for me was where I was hoping to see something happen today, and I will be a little bit disappointed if it hasn't. But in saying that, should I be disappointed if we don't sign 14 players in one transfer window? If Raskin had went, I would have wanted a midfielder in. and I am a little bit concerned about leadership within the team. Cornelius has got a bit of experience, which is good. I think Majowski's got a bit. He's an international player as well, so he's got a bit of experience as well. I'm just not sure yet that we've quite got the blend right between youth and potential against hard-bitten, hard-nosed experience. But you never know. Time will tell.
Well, we're definitely going to be a good side in a few years. Maybe not now. This is your final warning, Gorilla Tag. It was capitals the other day in the comments. I would train Dowell into left back is almost a ban and offence. Kenny, who's been your signing of the transfer window? Or, let's put it another way, who are you most excited by in the transfer window?
Gassama's the one that's impressed me most so far, I would think. I was a bit disappointed that we didn't, particularly second half when Ant-Man came on yesterday, get him shifted to have a proper run at that big cat horse right back they've got, because he's there for the taking. And I think Gassama's pace would have really caused him a lot of bother. He's really impressed me. Strangely, the young boy, Makoma, has really impressed me in the couple of games that he's played, 3 games that he's played. He's looked really good. Mikey Moore excites me. The talent that boy's got is clear for all to see. And I expect him to get quite a lot of game time, actually, over the course of the season. I think I was actually very impressed with his attitude yesterday, and I think, for a boy that's had a little bit of a stop-start, career at Rangers so far in the first month or so he's been here because of different things, I thought he, and as I say, we're talking about a game here where it's a nothing game yesterday, and none of them particularly impressed in terms of the ability or anything like that, but just in terms of the attitude. But I don't know, Stevie, Majowski is the one that so far kind of excites me the most. In terms of the one that I've not seen much of, that I'm actually thinking he'll do a right good job for us. I'm actually convinced of it. Funny enough, the boy saying Rothwell actually really impressed me the first couple of games. He did. The Panathinaikos game, was it the Pilsen game? I can't remember what it was. I think it was a Pilsen game. I thought he was the best player in the park that day, but yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's carrying an injury or just not fit or whatever it is with Rothwell. And funny enough, having seen Joe Rothwell a lot for Leeds last season, I was really quite excited about that. So, as I say, the way I'd put this, Stevie, is that he's got 2 weeks now to sort this out and get this team playing in a cohesive way that he wants us to play, and start showing us what these new boys are all about, because I personally think the squad looks stronger than it has for a few years. That's what I would say. But it's up to the manager to build that team and show us that then.
Oh yeah, if we don't come back from the international break like Prime Brazil, questions will be asked. Rangers have got the ticket pricing out for the Europa, folks. I'm just going to run by them. Adults is £188, which is obviously how we're funding the Chermiti transfer. Concessions is 148, juveniles 108. The sales schedule, season ticket holders have up until Thursday, the 4th of September, until 9 a.m. From the 4th of September until 9 a.m. on Wednesday, the 10th of September. If you're on the continuous credit card scheme, there will be 4 separate payment dates: Friday, the 5th of September, Wednesday, the 1st of October, Monday, the 3rd of November, and Monday, the 1st of December. Season ticket holder movers, 9 a.m. on Thursday 11th until 9 a.m. on Tuesday the 16th of September, and MyJers 10 a.m. Tuesday 16th of September until 9 a.m. Friday 19th of September, subject to availability. General sale Friday 19th of September, subject to availability. Yeah, £188 is a lot of money, Davie. It's almost like another season ticket payment, at least for the credit card. It comes out on 4 different opinions. My kidneys are, or 4 different opinions, 4 different occasions. My kidneys are safe for now, at least. £188. Everything's just getting more expensive by the minute, isn't it?
To be honest, I did fear that it was going to be a price something like that. There was quite a number of empty seats at the last European game against Bruges, and it was quite significantly cheaper than what you've just said. Unless Rangers start impressing and playing well, there is not a hope in hell we will sell Ibrox out at those prices. I think it's as simple and straightforward as that. I think the new owners have decided that they want to maximise income, which is fine, but there needs to be the product on the pitch at the same time. And I fear they've maybe misjudged this one a little bit, and I doubt very much that the first game will sell out.
Mine's actually, a few people have commented. I think it's different prices for where you sit in the stadium. My season ticket seats is 176. There's a few people saying it's 168. It's not cheap, Kenny. See, for that prices, we better be bloody good. Although you'll be joining me on the gantry for a few of them, not by choice, just because I need somebody with me. Please, mate, I can't watch them on my own. So, what's your thoughts on those European prices?
That's a lot. It doesn't surprise me. You know, the minimum you're going to get that at is 160 quid. They're going to charge you for. You know, if you look back 3 or 4 years ago, mate, I can remember one of the games. I can't remember what game it was. I think it was during the run to the final. We were about 55 quid for a ticket or something like that, weren't we? It was a lot of money. Season after that, which would try to charge folks 60 quid a ticket for a Champions League package, wasn't it? And you're right, everything's gone up and up and up. The only thing I would say is that you're right, Davey's right. I don't see us selling that out at those kind of prices. Your top price there that I've seen on screen here is that's 47 quid a ticket. That's a lot of money for a Europa League game, isn't it? Let's not kid ourselves. It is a lot of money these days. And your boy said there's 57 quid for yesterday, but that's going to sell. Davey's right. I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. There was only 43,000 at the Bruges game. That's 8,500 empty seats. It's a lot of seats to be sitting empty for a Champions League playoff round it. And I would think you'll do well to get that for these packages. Actually, I think you could be looking at 38,000, 40,000. I don't think they'll sell out. With the way things are at this minute in time, I just don't see that selling at all, because you need to be entertained. So it's an entertainment business, and you need to entertain. You need to show what you're all about, and we haven't done that yet. So it'll be interesting to see how many of the packages they actually sell.
Well, hold on, £57 yesterday. You got a free nap during it as well. So it's not that expensive when you consider the entertainment we're providing, football and getting, sleeping help. Yeah, we're kind of hanging about a little minute or two, folks. Davey, I wanted to ask you something. Somebody's commented on it, but we're going to have to just put it to the side just for a minute. Rangers, obviously, we're waiting for Rangers to make an announcement on several signings. Yusuf Chermiti, obviously, we're waiting for them to announce that. And lo and behold, Rangers have announced the signing of Yusuf Chermiti from Everton, now confirmed by the club. Davey, I'm going to get the club announcement up just when it goes. You may have wondered why we were hanging on, folks. That's why we've been hanging on. It is now official. Rangers have signed Yusuf Chermiti from Everton. Davey, we have spoke about it quite a lot, but in order for me to get what the club have said about it, etc., I need you to waffle on, you and Kenny, for a couple of minutes for me, please.
Well, welcome to the club, young man. I'm presuming, have they actually said what the fee is? Or are they going to go out with this undisclosed thing?
No, I'm waiting on them putting out an actual. They've just put out a wee video, in which case he does several ball skills and looks quite decent. so no wonder we paid $8 million for him. So I'm just waiting. Rangers have put it out. Undisclosed fee, shock horror, 4-year deal. 4-year deal. So speaking after signing for Rangers, he says, I'm really happy to be here. When I spoke to Kevin and Russell, I knew straight away that I wanted to join the club. I can't wait to meet everyone, the coaches, my teammates, and all the staff. I just want to meet everyone and get involved. I have heard about the atmosphere here and the stadium. I can't wait to play. Russell Martin said, we're really pleased to bring Yusuf to Rangers. He's a young striker with huge potential and a lot of the qualities we're looking for in that position. At just 21, he already has valuable experience at a high level, and we believe this is the right environment for him to continue his development. We're excited to work with him over the coming years and help him fulfill his potential here at Rangers. Kevin Thelwell said, I'm delighted to welcome Yusuf to Rangers. I know his character well from our time at Everton, and I've always been impressed by his attitude, professionalism, and hunger to improve. We believe he can develop into a top striker here, and we're confident that Rangers is the right place for him to take that next step. And we're all excited about what he can bring to the club over the coming years. There you go. Full statement from Rangers. Your thoughts, Davie, please?
Well, my thoughts are it's great that he's arrived for his development, but I hope his development involves lots of goals for Rangers and lifting trophies, because that's the only thing we're going to measure him on. He might become a sellable asset, which is great, but first and foremost, he needs to succeed at our club before we think about what that means in the future. I think, as I said earlier on, I just hope he hits the ground running, because I think the fact we've spent so much money on him is going to be what he's judged on, rightly or wrongly, and probably is wrongly in a way that you judge him and how much he cost. But that is what's going to happen to him. So the best thing that can happen is that he scores a couple of goals earlier on, he plays well early on, and any noise about his fee just dies away, and then the boy can just go on with it. But in saying all that, first and foremost, he needs to prove that he's the best striker at the club, because we just bought another guy just a couple of days ago who is proven in our league, and I think Kenny has already said he will score goals for Rangers. So maybe the best thing for this boy's development is he's going to have to be every bit as good or better than the guy he's competing with, and that can do Rangers no harm at all.
Kenny, it's at least official. You done very well to hang on. I seen the life literally drain out of you when I said we needed to stay on for an extra wee bit. I couldn't exactly say it, unfortunately, folks. The news was embargoed. He is here. It is announced. It is undisclosed. It is a 4-year deal. He also avoided the "I've supported Rangers when I was a kid" line that normally gets trotted out. I was waiting for him to say he had Pedro Mendes pictures up on his wall, but that never came. He is here. Give us your thoughts on that announcement.
The life the blood didn't drain out my face, mate. It's drained out I've been on this stool for an hour and 20 minutes, mate. Jesus. I'm old, mate. I'm getting sore. Listen, welcome to the football club, and I hope he goes and smashes it. That's what I would say, mate. Truly, it's one of those things that Davey's right. It's a big, hefty price tag for us, but that's what I would ask, is that we don't judge him on the price tag. He's a 21-year-old boy, clearly has bags of potential. You don't get a move to the Premier League without having something about you. It's not worked necessarily for him, because he hasn't scored any goals and he's been injured all the time. But yeah, come to Rangers and you'll fit right in, pal.
Well, that is it, folks. We have managed to get through an hour and 20 minutes. There's 11,000 people watching three old baldy guys. We definitely deserve a sponsorship from Head and Shoulders. We would knock it out of the park. So if you're watching, get in contact with the pod and we'll sort that out. Welcome to Yusuf Chermiti. I wish him all the very best at Rangers Football Club. Very talented young player, according to our manager and our head of development, whatever Kevin Thelwell is. It passes my mind at this moment, but he's here anyway. And we wish him all the very best. I'm looking forward to it. Look, we spent a lot of money on him. He's going to be, there'll be a buzz about it, so get him on. And we're really looking forward to it. You could even shock us and play two up front. Davie, what a shift it's been, mate. You sat through that 90 minutes. You came on the pod yesterday, and then you've just sat through an hour and 20 minutes talking to me and Kenny. What a wonderful servant you are to this pod. Thanks, mate.
No, I'll tell you, I went bald quicker than this. This is absolutely incredible. No, hey, it's always good talking to you guys. Always amazing how many people want to listen to us rambling on about Rangers, but it's fantastic. And let's just hope now that the transfer window's about to close that we've got good days ahead.
And Kenny, my ever tortured co-host, founder of Four Lads podcast, who regrets it more and more every day. Thank you, mate.
It's not a jammies I need, mate. I'm going upstairs to get the hemorrhoid cream, I think. It's the way I'm at here. Jesus, I've gone numb. I'm going to need to get Tracy to drag me out this stool. Aye, that's a long podcast, mate. Well done. And you're doing it again, aren't you? You're going on the review shortly, aren't you? So, yeah. I'll go and get my wee jammies on, as the boy says, and I'll sit and watch that. In the hope that we get another one or two surprises. Hope we do. It's always nice when you get one the last hour of the transfer window, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I am doing the review, but Chris Jack comes on at 10, so just watch it from 10. There's no point in watching it from 9 for me. But yeah, just want to say thank you to everybody that's tuned in, everybody that's supporting the podcast, everyone that is a YouTube member, everyone that subbed and helped us hit 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. A fabulous moment for the podcast. I think we started the year with 3,000 subscribers, and the uptake on it has been absolutely incredible. Of course, it helps when Rangers are doing absolutely shite, and we're miserable every day, but it would be really nice if they could turn it up a wee bit and perform. And thank you to it as well. There are loads of comments asking me how my first day was at my new job. It was actually excellent. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There was a crash on the motorway this morning on the way to work, so I was delayed and late by half an hour, but fortunately so were the bosses, and everybody else was as well. So that was a bit of a relief, and everyone seemed fairly relaxed and was laughing about it. My anxiety was through the roof. But fortunately, I'm a bit cultured in that now, having watching Rangers defend. But I really appreciate all the nice comments. I really enjoyed it today, and back tomorrow and all that kind of stuff. So thank you so much for everybody that have made nice comments, and everyone that supports us. We really appreciate it. Huge thanks to our sponsors as well: Rhino Express, Clyde Joinery, Affle Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, and our partners Black Rooster and Art of Gold. So yeah, thank you, folks. Really, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and for all your support of the podcast. Have a good week. We're back on Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. I think Kenny and I are joined by Kai Watson, and we will go a wee bit more analytical and look into some of our new signings, and we'll get Kai's opinions on the summer and how things are going so far as well. And we'll have a bit of a look back on the transfer window and things that Kai suggests we might have done and all that kind of stuff. So just a general chit chat. Want to keep the podcast alive during the international break for everyone as well. So have a good couple of days. Take care, folks, and we'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Affle Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.